Hello and welcome back to this series in industrial design sketching. In this video we'll be going through 1-point, 2-point and 3-point perspective. And we will be finishing off this video by applying the knowledge and sketching a toaster together with the things we learned during the video. And we will also be incorporating some of the stuff we learned during our warm-up in the previous video. So yes, let's just start off and start sketching.
So let's start off by practicing 1-point perspective. So in 1-point perspective, as it says in the name, there's only one vanishing point that we have to think about. So all of the converging lines merge into this one vanishing point. The line that I just am making here is the horizon line, and this will be our eye line. So anything above the horizon line will be something that we're looking up at, and something below it will be something that we're looking down at. And this changes the way that the objects are portrayed as they go towards the vanishing point. So the easiest thing to do when practicing is probably to make a cube, and demonstrating how we do this with 1-point perspective will allow you to apply it to different perspectives as well as we go further along. So as you can see, I'm making all of these lines that converge into the vanishing point from all of the sides of the cube that are facing towards the vanishing point. After adding the lines for the back of the cube, we can see that this is sort of a simplified version of a cube in perspective with one vanishing point. Now I'm going to be making a rectangle under the horizon line, and this shows also how the perspective changes while you go under the horizon line, but the principle stays the same, that the rectangle goes towards the vanishing point. In the same way, we can try and make a cylinder that goes towards the vanishing point as well, and the principle is the same in this case as well, that the further the object is away from you, the smaller it tends to look, and that's the same thing we're trying to do with this cylinder. So next up is two vanishing points. And now it's getting a bit more complicated because we have to think about the two of these vanishing points when making our objects. So we'll stick to the cubes and make a cube now with two vanishing points. And I'll start off by directly making these lines that go towards the vanishing points. This is gonna be the top face of our cube. So making the same sort of lines from the other vanishing point, we can connect them at 4 points, and these will be the 4 edges of the top side of our cube. Now we'll make some straight parallel lines downwards, and these are going to be the other edges of our cube, and then we shall connect them still using the vanishing points. This is because all edges that go in the same direction all converge towards the same vanishing point, just like in 1-point perspective. Same thing is done with the other side, except I'm using green to demonstrate all the edges that go towards the other vanishing point. The same principle as 1-point perspective still applies if we're going above the horizon line, meaning that we're looking up at the object. Making the edges of the cube is still done in the same way, where they all converge towards one of these two vanishing points. This time we actually made the edges first instead of the top face, like in the other cube. And you can do it in the whichever way you want, and as long as you follow the vanishing points, your cube will still look alright. You may have noticed that one of the corners in the cube at the bottom might look a bit weird. So why is this? To demonstrate, I'm gonna be drawing a imaginary sort of circle where the diameter is the length between the two vanishing points. And as long as you're inside this imaginary circle, usually your sketches will look correct in perspective. But as you sort of step out of the circle, they tend to start getting a little bit skewed and pulled a bit. So unfortunately, as you can see, the corner of this cube is located outside of this imaginary circle in which perspective looks correct. So that's why it looks a bit stretched and skewed compared to the other cube. So when making a cube in 3-point perspective, the same ideas apply to this as well. I'm just moving up the two vanishing points that we had in the exercise before, and adding a third vanishing point for the 3 other parallel lines in the cube. The 2 points above with the horizontal line is still our horizon line, so since we're making this cube underneath the horizon line, we're still going to be looking at it from above. So yet again, we're making the top face of the cube to start with, and the line converges towards one of those 2 dots along the horizon line. In the same way for the vertical lines, they will all converge towards the vanishing point at the bottom of the page. And you may have guessed it as well, the base of the cube will be pointing towards the horizon lines, so that's where these lines will converge to as well. So yes, that was a short introduction to what it means to sketch in 1-point, 2-point and 3-point perspectives. I think we should end this lesson off by sketching a simple object that incorporates all the things that we learned during the 1, 2 and 3-point perspectives. So let's do that. A common mistake made by beginners when first starting to sketch in perspective is choosing the wrong set of parallel lines to converge into that perspective. So for example, here I've drawn 2 sets of toasters. One of the toasters has the vanishing point in front of it and the other one has it behind it. But the same set of parallel lines are chosen to converge into that point. And that's along the length of the toaster. So for example, if you put the vanishing point in front of the toaster, then the perspective looks kind of weird and the toaster gets skewed and it's not really a cube anymore, or like a rectangle shape. On the other hand, if you put the perspective point behind the toaster and converge into that point, then the toaster starts to look more normal. So let's take the ideas that we learned during this video and apply them to sketching a toaster. Here you can see that I placed the vanishing point a bit further away outside the paper. And think of this like a camera while adjusting your focal lengths. So this would be like looking in through a camera with a zoom lens. So being that the vanishing points are quite far away and the object looks more towards the side of orthographic. But still the lines are converging towards some vanishing points, and so it's important because we see everything in real life as in perspective. So it's important that you don't make it look orthographic, or as I showed in the example with the toaster with the vanishing points on the wrong side, that they don't converge in the right way. When learning from the example of when we made the vanishing point, 3-point vanishing cube. This is like the same thing, except that we're making more of a rectangular shape and adding some fillets on the side. And that makes it look more like a product design sketch. We'll also put on some chamfers on the toaster as well. And make sure to add those small details to make it look more like a toaster or apparatus more than just sketching a cube. We'll put in some chamfers as well and make sure that the corner radii follow the radii from the side of the cube as well, so that the toaster will have a elevated plane in which we'll throw in the slots to toast bread as well. Think now, when we're making those slots to put the bread in, that the lines that converge towards the vanishing point on the right, they'll be sort of an average in between of those two lines, depending on where between those two sidelines that they are. And the more you go towards the left line, the more the angle will be the way that the left line is. And in the center it will be sort of an average of the both of the lines. Now we can even incorporate the first lesson, where we learned how to do straight parallel lines which are equidistant from each other. So that's how we're going to shade the side of this toaster. We can even do the insides of the slots that house the bread in the same way, and any other pieces. And after we're done with that, we can go and further add a shadow as well. When making the shadow, remember that the shadow is also in perspective. So the shadow will also converge towards the same vanishing point during the length of the toaster. And when you take it along the backside, it will converge towards the other vanishing point on the left in the same way. Being able to think in 1, 2, or 3-point perspective can help you sketch so many different objects, not just this one toaster. It's a great start and a great way to practice easy sketching by making a simple object just like this. And if you want to see many more objects that I've sketched and maybe that you can look and try and copy, I have many more videos on my Instagram or TikTok account at Anahat Design, where you can look at many different objects and try and sketch them yourself as well.